Oblique Seville is the reigning world champion in the 100-meter dash, so as far as I'm concerned, that makes him the fastest man in the world for 2025, even though I'm aware that Shane Thompson might have something to say about it on the clock. All that being said, his name and IShowSpeed should not be in the same sentence when we talk about sprinting. But apparently, that is the conversation we're about to have, or at least the first one, because IShowSpeed called out Oblique Seville on Instagram. Now, it's just a statement Oblique Seville put up, from what I can tell, an Instagram story where he just kind of laughed it off because IShowSpeed was essentially suggesting, hey, I'm coming for you. You're not going to be the fastest much longer. But the fact that we're even having this discussion where a streamer, that's what he is calling out the world champion in the sport, tells us all that we need to know about where we're starting the negotiations. I get it. The IShowSpeed saga has been going for a while, and I've even talked about it. He's raced against Noah Lyles in, a benefit race with a charity race with, Mr. Beast. But from that moment till now, we've seen him race, and the last two times I saw him run fast. He competed against Nigel Green, who competes at the American Championships. He was at the USA's, but did not make the final in the 100, and he lost by a lot. And then we also saw him run a 40-yard dash in, the IShowSpeed Goes Pro segment with Tom Brady. Now, he ran 4.49 seconds after a whole bunch of reps, so even if we assume he's that fast, or even a little bit faster, there is no evidence that we actually have to go off of that IShowSpeed belongs running against the fastest men in the world. But he has continued to call out the fastest men that we have in our sport. Remember, I said a sport. This is not, I'll race you to the tree over there. Oblique Seville is a world champion because in his sport, you have to step to the line, and every time you do, your reputation is on the line as well. The reason why this bothers me so much is because there is a clear disconnect between the track and field world, which is a sport, and everything else that's going on out there. And when we talk about promoting track and field, because trust me, this is one conversation I'm having, but there's a few others. Because I've seen some things in the comment section, everything around Melissa Jefferson-Wooden racing 100 men, and a few other things about Athlos paying the athletes, and I'm just here to, delve into all of it. So yes, this is a rant video where I don't really have any notes. I'm just letting it rip, because when I have thoughts, I figure I might as well share them with the community. And since they let me know in the comments, I read as much of them as I possibly can. This is my chance to try and respond. So let's dive in. IShowSpeed, just starting with this one because we're going to leave from here. I tried to calculate, did a whole video about roughly how fast he might be able to go. He's clearly a fast guy. He is. That's not up for debate. Compared to regular athletic individuals like, non-track athletes, he's pretty fast. I think that's clear. I would assume, based off of all the evidence I have so far, that if he were to run a track and field season competitively, he might be anywhere between 11-0 and 10-6 in the course of the season. That's if he were to train and go after it. For his age and stage, he could run in college, and he might even be able to compete to make finals depending on what conference he's in and what division he's in. He might even be able to have a shot to win a championship. But if we're talking Division 1, then no, he's not a conference champion even at that level. We've watched him run against one of America's faster men, one of those who showed up to the USA, so that puts you in the top 20 or so of the fast men we have on that year, top 20 to 30. And it wasn't close. I do not believe that IShowSpeed can run faster than 10.6 seconds. At least not right now. Maybe with better training, in another year or two, he might be better than that. But if he were to race through this season, I'm convinced that's about what you're going to get. 10.6. Let's just call it 10.60 just for the sake of argument. If that is true, there's no business, no reason at all, for you to be having a conversation about calling out Oblique Seville or anybody else. Because that is not your level. Not even close. Remember, in the context of track and field where we run actual races, there's a gun, there's a line, there's actual lanes, there's measured out distances. This is not just running fast. Track and field is a sport that's about running fast and then running fast again, specifically doing it on command in the one big race that you actually need to run. We have no evidence that IShowSpeed can actually do that. But he has talent. And the fact that with his platform, people really don't know whether he's calling attention to track by calling people out and wanting to race them. There's a whole chatter in the comments. Anybody who thinks that IShowSpeed is drawing attention to the sport, to me, has a very different understanding of the essence of track and field, because track and field has way more events than just short sprints. Just to clarify. But if we're only focusing on the sprinting component, I don't believe you're calling attention to it when you're not actually participating in it. And if you don't understand the gap between the best athletes in the world and you, if you don't understand it, to me that's disrespectful. Not bringing attention to it. It's actually trivializing it, because we don't do this in other sports. You can't just call out an NFL player and say, hey, I'll go one-on-one with you. You can't do that. We don't see this chatter online. We've seen chatter about people thinking they're better than NBA players who might be on the bench. And then those same NBA players like Brian Scalabrine have done, like as a retired NBA player, he was a bench warmer who, while retired and a little bit out of shape, allowed regular people to go out and challenge him who thought they could beat him. And he would destroy them. Destroy them. We're talking, 5-0, 11-0, whatever the game was too. He was like, you're not going to score a point. And by the end of it, they were like, yes, I now get it. There's a level that you're on versus the one that I'm on. IShowSpeed is important because now it moves to the Melissa Jefferson-Wooden versus the 100 men situation. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, and if you really want to know what's going on with the fastest athletes in the world, then you are in the right place. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. I already did a video on it and shared some of my thoughts, but now I'm going to do a deep dive. And the deep dive is here. Women's track and field is a sport. Men's track and field is a sport, but I don't view them as the same sport. You can be amazing. You can be the best in either of those, but I don't make equivalent comparisons under any circumstances. There's no point in it. Remember, Serena Williams said herself about tennis that she is the best in women's tennis, but she doesn't put herself in the same category with men's tennis. It's a different sport. They hit harder. They run faster. It's a different game. And she said, I would be non-competitive if I tried to compete in that game. So when I'm watching chatter in the comment section around Melissa Jefferson-Wooden racing 100 men, the only way that Mr. Beast can put her out there with 100 men, the only way he can do it, and her actually win, is one of two things need to happen, and I'll give you the facts behind it in a moment. One, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden can only race against men who are just not that fast. That's the first part. Like, just being real, and I'm gonna give you the numbers. There's no way she can race against men, like actual men who sprint and win, if they're anything close to the best in the world. Emphasis on anything close, and I'm gonna give you the numbers. The other thing that might be true is we're lying. Maybe the race is staged, and we're just faking it to pretend that, it's closer than it really was, or, that she won, but now I'm gonna give you the data. I went to World Athletics and I looked up, because we know that Melissa Jefferson-Wooden just put out one of the greatest sprinting seasons we've ever seen in women's sprinting. And I celebrate it for what it is. Remember, I've been on this bandwagon before it even had seats. Regardless, 10.61, that was her best this season, but she ran 10.6 multiple times. We saw 10.7s. She was running into minus headwinds. She lit it up. She lit the track on fire. But that's women's track and field, and we need to celebrate it and dignify it for what it is. But if you're trying to, in any way, shape, or form, show how talented a woman is compared to the men, let's be real about the numbers. On World Athletics, you know what 10.61 would have rated you in the world based on the times they have in the system this year? 2,499. And you'd be tied with at least 50 other people who ran 10.61 this year. That means there are 2,400 plus men in the world this year who ran faster than 10.61. I'm going to say that number one more time. It's not 100. It's not 200. It's not 1,000. It's not even 2,000. It's 2,498, 99, however many, who are faster in the 100. To make a carryover, in the NBA, they have 450 jobs in their league. Just 450 players. That's it. We're not even talking about all of track and field. We're not talking about all the events. We're only talking about the 100-meter dash specifically. 2,400 men. So if you understand that, And also understand how fast some football players are. Men who ran track in high school and might have ran 10.4, 10.3, some of them even 10.2. Some of these guys are in college, some of these guys are at the pro level. But guys who don't compete, like they didn't run track in 2025, but we know they've been fast in the past. Are you really trying to tell me that if we just got a really fast man who plays football, like a decent to pretty good wide receiver, a decent to pretty good defensive back, or even some players in the NBA specifically for looking at the point guards, and brought them over and said, race Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, that somebody wouldn't beat her? Or for that matter, a lot. But we're just talking, remember, we're talking about the non-track. In the track world, it's a no contest. None of this denigrates or downplays her. We need to dignify and celebrate women's sports for what it is. Women's tennis is a serious sport. I keep going back to this, and everybody knows it because the women compete at a high level. They have guardrails, there's the WTA, there's circuits, there's Wimbledon and the majors, like there's actual competitions. That's what makes it a sport. And the high level of competition amongst the athletes in it is what makes it dignified. Nobody in America believes. Again, Alexis Ohanian himself said it, that you'd be laughed out of a room in America if you tried to suggest that women's tennis is not as serious a sport as men's tennis. But it's a different sport. You cannot support women's athletics in any way, shape, or form and try to do it by comparing them to the men. That's not how we do it. We separate the genders for a reason. And when we get to Athlos, because Melissa Jefferson-Wooden was supposed to run an Athlos, but she didn't, which I totally understand, and that's not the point. The next conversation comes up around Athlos and the event, and specifically around how they paid the athletes. Because when they went out there, apparently with their partnership with Cash App, they were paying the athletes almost, directly, like immediately after. Like, I guess the night of the event, people were seeing Cash App show that the money was hitting their account for them competing. I guess that's cute, and I guess it's a gimmick, and it's great that the athletes got their money. But you gotta know where we're starting the negotiations from. Brittany Brown, let's use her because she made the most. $120,000 for winning the 100 and the 200 at Athlos. And she got that money Cash App to her, as far as I know, that day, or the day after, whatever. In track and field, normally athletes get paid based off of, a period of time where things have to clear. You have, drug testing and all these other protocols before they actually receive their money. That's part of the legitimacy of how pro track is done, at least in whatever we're calling pro track. Again, that's how they set it up. If that's the system, I'm not saying you can't do this Cash App thing, but the fact that we're celebrating like, wow, the athletes got paid, you gotta know where we're starting negotiations from. Because in real pro sports, you have a league, you have salaries, people get paid a specific amount. You get paid on the 1st and the 15th like a real job. You don't just have to go out there and try to run and cobble together your prize money. You actually get paid like on an actual, stamps behind it. But more importantly, just consider, we're celebrating a Cash App of $60,000 for a winner at allegedly one of these major pro events. Because Athlos, they try to do it on a big scale. The meet doesn't have any real stakes besides the money, but that's what we celebrate, the money. The money in sports is for the athletes. That's not for the fans. You don't build a narrative around how much LeBron gets paid or how much Serena gets paid for winning Wimbledon. We celebrated her winning Wimbledon because Wimbledon mattered as fans, not because of the pay. Track and field got to a point where when we have no stakes, we just try to dangle some money and say the money is the stakes. It doesn't work like that in a real professional sport. That's where we're starting the negotiations. LeBron James gets paid more for a game he doesn't play because he's going to be out for the first month or so of the NBA season. So he's going to get paid more money for every single game he doesn't play. Let that sink in. Then an athlete like Brittany Brown was going to make for winning both of her events at Athlos. Again, that's where we're starting negotiations from. And he has 82 games in a regular season, plus playoffs, plus all-star bonuses, and everything else that's going to come his way. I'm not saying that, Athlos isn't moving the needle. It is. Trust me, I'm on the bandwagon. What I'm saying, above all else, is that track and field is a sport where everybody thinks they can disrespect our sport. And the fact that we on the inside don't know what we are and what we aren't is the primary reason why they think they can. IShowSpeed disrespects us because he doesn't know that he's not a track athlete. All he has to do is show up to a track. That's what I want to do. I want to see track athletes dare him to come to a meet. That's all. Pick a meet on the schedule, a college meet where he can come in unattached. Dare IShowSpeed to come to us. Call him out then. I would love to see it. Because he has his agenda. Why don't, if we really wanted to call attention to the sport, make him do the sport. Fine, he doesn't want to run 100 meters, have him run 60 meters. Invite him to come indoors. I don't care where you want to do it, just do it. Invite him to come. Even if you put him in a meet he doesn't belong in, like what they did with DK Metcalf from the NFL. He ran at a USATF event that was, NBC Sports picked it up, with the LA Grand Prix. Did he belong in that meet on talent? No, he didn't. We definitely could have found other fast guys to put in the lane. But we still let him have it because he wanted the lane so badly and he had status that came from another sport. So I guess that's bringing attention to track because he showed up on a real track and competed. That I guess I can be okay with. Then we do the 100 men versus a woman. That is not calling attention either. Yes, Melissa might have got paid. This is not about her. I'm not knocking her decision. I'm knocking the entire system where it doesn't represent us well to pretend in any way, shape, or form that women belong competing against men in track and field. Because we don't do this in other sports and try to pretend that we're, elevating or lifting up the women. Remember, 2,500 men are faster than her this year in her event. 2,500. So many men who were never close to making a world team. But that's because they compete with the men. So we can celebrate her. And there's so many reasons to platform and celebrate her. She just had one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen in track and field. But that gets taken away to me if we try to pretend it's something that it's not. Let's just listen to Serena Williams on that one. That's not helping us move the needle forward. And then the last part is the payment. Yes, athletes should get paid, 100%. I want everybody who ran in Grand Slam track to get paid, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden included. But if we have a good core pro product, because the only thing we actually need as a professional product for track and field, and I'm saying this from the American context, I'm just being real, because we have the land of opportunity with so many athletes who are capable of going out there and running fast or performing across the different events, and only but so many spots on Team USA. So Worlds doesn't really work for us. We got to leave a lot of people at home who are faster than whoever's coming for somebody else's nation. No shade, just being honest. That's what the facts are. What we need is simple. You just need a league, a schedule, something with guardrails, where the top athletes are going to compete, and they're going to compete like it matters. You cannot convince me that if I could get Noah Lyles, Kenny Bednarik, and anybody else who's worthy of challenging them to run a series of meets during the track and field year, where they told us winning these races actually mattered. And there was a championship at the end of it that actually mattered. And we knew that they had to run. It wasn't, oh, I can just pull out of this meet or run in that meet. See, the Diamond League doesn't require anything. You just run in one meet and you're eligible for their final. As long as you win one, you're eligible. Real leagues have a regular season where you have to qualify your way through. And if somebody gets hurt, somebody steps in, people get opportunities. If we're doing it individual, I'm fine with that. It doesn't have to be a team, even though I think team is what's best for the entire sport. If we get beyond sprinting, for example. But if we're going to do it, don't convince, I'm not going to back down from this. If you really told me the best athletes, even just in America, were showing up to compete like it mattered, and there was a championship on the other end, where every time I turned it on, I knew what we were doing. Oh, Sydney's running because this is a qualifier for the final. Okay, I get it. I know why she's running. When she gets to that final, oh, if she wins this final, she wins the title. I get it. I know what we're running for. And as long as she believes it matters, and as long as Noah Lyles believes it matters, Kenny Bednarik, Sha'Carri Richardson, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, and everybody else, if they actually believe it matters, the fans will take it seriously. The only reason the stuff that we're doing doesn't get taken seriously is because we all know it ain't that serious either. The only thing that matters is the Worlds. But America has already voted with their feet that the World Championships just ain't that big a deal to us. It doesn't hit for our market. If that's what it is, that's what it is. Because if you build it, the core product, because you can dress it up, you can give us Megan Thee Stallion, you can give us Ciara, you can give us the superstars or the celebrities or, the lights, the camera, you can do all of that. But if the core product is not strong enough, you don't have a professional league. The core product, not the icing on the cake, not the icing. The cake itself. Go watch a cooking show. The first thing they say in any cooking competition is they focus on the protein and say, was the meat cooked properly? They don't care what you did to that meat, what seasonings you put on it, what sauce you cooked. Don't matter what you did with your sides. The only thing that matters is, did you cook the meat properly? And in track and field, we haven't figured out how to cook the meat. We just haven't. That is why the rest of the world doesn't know how to respect our sport. It has nothing to do with the men versus the women. We don't need the women and the men running together. And we definitely don't need IShowSpeed, who has no business running against the fastest man in the world, to go out there and pretend that he can. We just need something nice that belongs to us. Because if we get on board, the athletes and the fans who actually like track right now, everybody else will eventually take notice. The sport of track and field is not just about running fast. It is about doing it over and over and over again. Because whenever you step to the line, your reputation is on the line as well. With the Wake Up, Run Fast, and Repeat shirt, you can make it clear that running faster than the competition is a habit. Get yours at scarecruiting.com/shop or use the link in the description below. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.